Hello everyone, welcome to the Totally Well Show. I'm your host, Joyce Strong. The Totally Well Show is a place where we get curious, ask questions, and explore everything to do with health, wellness, fitness, and all the things it takes to help you live the highest quality, most fulfilling life. I'm here today with Francesca Verri, and Francesca is a life architect. We're going to tell you more about that. She does holistic lifestyle coaching, and she's a professional organizer. Mm-hmm. You'll find her at Francesca Verri, Verri.com. Also on Facebook and Twitter, Very Well, Verriwell. We'll remind you at the end of the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, a life architect, I'm seeing a blending of terms that maybe speaks to where you came from. So can I ask you, what got you into this?
Yeah, oh gosh, what got me into this? I think, especially with the professional organizing, I don't think I ever thought of myself as super organized. But in the work that I did, I was an assistant dean at a college just outside of Boston. Many, many, many years ago. And, the work required me to be organized, to sort of kind of be 3 steps ahead of people and what have you. Otherwise, I was flustered.
Right.
And the work wasn't getting done well. But the directors that reported to me, who were, and they still are, I'm sure, very intelligent people, couldn't seem to get me their work in a timely manner. And I almost no matter what I did. So I approached one of them, she's a friend of mine now, and I just sort of wanted to know what maybe there's something I can help her with. And we found that really it was disorganization, her inability to sort of organize her time, her space, the emails, she had a lot of advisees and what have you. So I helped her, behind the scenes, on the down low after work, just sort of organizing her space physically. We talked a lot about her home life as well, and just sort of how organization played a role or didn't play a role in getting her ready for the day and feeling good for the day. And I thought, I loved doing the work. And I thought, she can't be the only one, only woman
Had you done professional organizational training?
No, I always tell people, I don't even think there is really training. I mean, they have organizations.
Yeah.
I think that, first of all, I believe 100% that organization is learned. It's a choice, and everyone can learn to be organized. It depends on how you want to feel.
Right.
More than something being perfectly. I mean, there are certain processes that I teach, for sure.
Are these things that you've invented?
That, you know what? You'll hear most organizers saying the same kinds of stuff. Maybe different words, maybe different ways that they go about it, but for the most part, the process stays the same.
Okay.
And I've read a lot of books. I've read books from gurus in the organizing world. Peter Walsh, I think a lot of people remember him from, he had a show, he's Australian, now I can't remember his show, but where he went into a family's house and and all of a sudden in a week it's organized. Doesn't happen that quickly, but, and so I just started reading. I think that I loved, the idea of organizing offices and organizing people in the office so they could be more efficient, so they would and my whole idea was, you'll like your job more. You'll feel good about your life. So the wellness piece started to come in at that point. And I just figured, since my friend she's not the only person who works, who has a family, who has children, who has to juggle so much, that I knew there was something there. And I just started, kind of small. And then when I left my job in academia, and I got married, and I decided to kind of full force do this. And that's when I looked into health coaching, because I was trying to find a way. I knew there was more information that I wanted about wellness in general. I have a passion for food, healthy food. I'm a real food, paleo living advocate. I believe very strongly in real food and how it nourishes us. And I knew that there were these components of wellness, sleeping. Sleep is so important, it's so underrated. Sleep, but the basics, good food, movement, and then also the slowing down piece, the meditation, the looking at yourself. So as I started to do that more for myself, and I got my certification as a holistic health coach, I kept thinking when I was getting my certification, and they would say, food and, meditation and all these components that we know are part of a healthy lifestyle.
Right.
And I think, what about organization?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, they'll mention it. And they never did, and I thought, I'm onto something here. Which didn't seem, it's such a natural thing for me in terms of wanting to help people carve their path. What's in the way? What's cluttering it? Let's fix the problem. Let's put the pieces together.
Yeah.
That I thought maybe everyone thought that. But they never really mentioned order. And I thought, I really feel very strongly that organization of your time, your mind, your space is integral to you being able to, I think it makes you saner. Mm-hmm. It makes you saner. And so then I believe you're more able to make healthy lifestyle choices because you feel sane. Mm-hmm.
Or less crazy.
Or less crazy. Yes. That's true. That's true. I should revert that. But yeah, for sure. Less crazy, sane, whatever it is. I think that, we're so busy. Perhaps we glorify it a little too much, but we're busy. We're overwhelmed. We're cluttered. Mm-hmm. We have stuff in our mind. We have stuff in our space, our physical space. Oh my goodness. And I think that inhibits our ability to sort of be able to see what our next step is for wellness. Mm-hmm. I always tell people when I do my talks, and I say, if you can't find the countertop, when do you think that you actually are going to want to think about, prepare, plan, cook any kind of a meal, let alone be it healthy? Mm-hmm. You can't move. Mm-hmm. It's like an obstacle course. Mm-hmm. And I think we become very tense when we're in that obstacle course. And I think a lot of people experience that daily, often, even in their workspaces, It kind of, sometimes, it doesn't shift over, but, in the space, if you can't move in your home space, I just think that it affects how you do your life. It affects your relationships, whoever lives with you in that space. It affects how you think. It affects how you sleep, right? It affects what you eat. See, there we go. I've touched upon all of them. Organization. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I'm onto something.
When people get in touch with you, what are some of the first things you hear out of their mouths? Like when they make that initial phone call to you or email, however they connect with you, what do you hear? So
if they're calling about sort of specifically health coaching, there's always an aspect of organization that they end up talking about. Something doesn't feel right. They feel unfulfilled. When they're calling me about organization specifically, and even if because I coach on it as well, but I do the hands-on organizing, which is what I think a lot of people are craving, to someone to come in and actually
work side by side.
Yeah, and help you make the decisions that you feel crippled by and teach you.
Yeah.
Because
some
it's learned.
Some people do it together like that, and some don't. Some just coach you virtually, but
right.
You actually will go.
I do both,
Yeah, okay.
And so the word I often hear is overwhelm.
Okay.
People say they're overwhelmed.
So do they find you first as a health coach, as an organizational coach?
I guess
it
just depends
what
on,
they need.
It depends on what they need. And so when I say, and I think a lot of people don't, the term life architect, it's sort of, that sounds, but I think of it as helping people. I'm combining the two things, and I'm helping people see where their life is cluttered and where it doesn't feel good. So they might need coaching, and they might need coaching, around, I find that it's mostly around the routines. It's around your day-to-day that they can't sort of, like we were talking about making a meal plan. They want to lose weight, or they want to eat healthier. They want to eat healthier. Okay. Well, that's not just go to the supermarket and grab some healthy things. You have to prepare your space, your people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And yourself.
Yeah.
For that. That takes, when I say organization, that takes a level of understanding sort of what you have, where things are, that you can put your hands on things.
Yeah.
But just even a general feeling, deep inside that you want to do this. So as you know, as a coach, that's part of what coaching is to motivate people to feel that they can do this, which they can. Right.
I love the term architect. The more I think of it, I'm like watching you talk and using your hands. And
I'm Italian.
Yeah, it's great. What I'm seeing, it's just kind of like settling in with me that people come with the building part in mind, but you can't build without a design. Like I had this idea of, at one point I wanted to change my house, the outside, the structure, maybe put an addition on. And I called an architect like we were going to get right down and do it, bring your nails and your hammer and your saw, and she's like, no, we have to make a picture first. We have to design it.
It's funny because that's the first step that I tell people, whether you're organizing something, your kitchen, or your life, is to start with that vision. And where I help is to create that plan.
Yeah.
Before we actually, and I think that can be frustrating sometimes for people because they want to bring the hammer and the
Well,
nails.
it's like weight loss. I want to lose this. My goal is I want to lose this much weight, and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. That's not a goal.
Right. Correct. Correct. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that, and really what that is. So it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
But I ask people to look at if it's their space, even their life. I mean, that's a big question. What do you want your life to look like? But I really focus a lot on how do you want to feel.
Okay.
Not, because people say I want to be organized, but how do you want to feel? I want to know what comes from what you're thinking that you want to feel. What's organization going to give you, or what's healthy eating going to give you? What is feeling well? How are you going to? What does that mean? Correct.
Yeah.
They want to feel calm.
Yeah.
Quiet is a word I hear often. Quiet, which is, in the buzz of everything, things move so fast. Quiet doesn't mean you're not productive. It probably means you're more productive. It doesn't mean you can't be doing things at a fast pace, but it means there's a peace within you.
Yeah.
And so I really want people to get to the root of that. Because I think that when we're organizing a space, I always say, if your vision is clear, then your space will follow suit. So when you're doing one of the first steps of getting organized, which is to sort and discard, you make decisions easier. That's where people get, Francesca, I don't know how to, and it's valid. I can't make this decision. I just can't do it on my own. Or I don't know if I'm going to need it. They want to talk through something. If you have a vision for how you want a specific space to look, your decisions, they're made a little easier. Well, does this inform the vision? Does it belong in this room? Does it belong here? Are you going to use it? Do you like it? All of a sudden, it's, oh my God, because you had this vision set.
My son and I drove to Rochester. So it was a long drive, New York. So we were in the car for, 15 hours together over the weekend. And
oh, wow.
So, and he's in his 20s, so he's a guy. And guys sometimes like to talk and sometimes they don't. But he gave me some organizing tips. Oh! Yeah, he said to me, all right, so you've decided that you're going to get rid of these things, but that's where the problem starts because you've made that decision. Now, do you put them on Facebook Marketplace? Do you put them on Craigslist? Do you bring them to the dump? Like, how do you figure out? So he said, you've got a computer, look it up. If this pen is worth less than $20, it gets donated. If it's worth $0, it's broken, it gets but he gave me like a number where it's not worth trying to sell it,
or your time,
so give it away, or your time. And it was just like such a simple thing.
Well, and sometimes it is, because I think that people also, I have a lot of clients who say, I want to know that my stuff is going somewhere. That I can say someone else is going to use it. And I think, and there are a lot of places where, you can certainly, there are donation centers or consignment, or they want to make they spent money on something. Right.
Well, the point that I make is that I want to make money on it. I spent money. I probably spent a lot more than $20, but in the end, you're gonna waste a lot more time and money trying to decide.
Correct. Well, correct. And sometimes there are certain items that you have to kind of go through that course. But I always tell people, is it worth the time and the energy to think about it so much, or that you now go research, that you go and find a place, that you go and bring, and that you see if you can consign it, you see if you can sell it, you post it on. And I say, if you really feel like you want to do it, then you should do that. Spend your time doing that and make it worth your while, because you're not keeping it. You've already decided, right? So it makes them feel better. It makes them feel like they're,
Well, it's rewarding in a different way.
In a different way.
Get it. Yeah.
But certainly, and I've definitely had this conversation, with clients where, and I give them a time frame. Mm-hmm. So, all right, so I'm going to give you until, the next session, or I'm going to give you until the end of the month. Because, it's very easy to say, I'm going to do that.
You've touched on something that's really important, which is accountability, right? That you're, they want to do it, you want to help them do it. There's no question. But it's easy to put it off and say I went from number 1 priority to number 25.
Right. So. And it can be the littlest thing.
Yeah.
I can be working with somebody and we come across a task, and I always tell people, if it can be done now, do it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't put off for tomorrow, which my grandmother used to always say that. And I'd be like, oh, that makes sense, Nana. And that now I'm like, oh, yeah. And I try and teach people that, because we do put off. Even like what we're talking about, trying to sell something, and we say, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I try and encourage people, make that your priority, because there is fulfillment in seeing it through.
Yeah.
You've already decided, so I'm giving you 2 choices. I can take it and donate it somewhere.
Yeah.
Where I bring my things and whatever, or you can try and sell it. But I'm going to give you a time limit, because otherwise there isn't. It becomes too easy. I'm not saying people won't do it, but it becomes easy to put it aside, because it seems like, well, I've already decided, but that clutter stays there. It's an unmade decision, so to speak, or it just you haven't followed through.
So it's a form of mental clutter.
Physical, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that, all physical clutter is going to affect you mentally, for sure.
But this unmade decision is
weighing on you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like even I've had people say to me, family members even, I've got so much stuff in my attic, and they obviously they know what I do, and I say, well, let's tackle the attic. Oh, there's so much stuff up there, and it's like it's above you. It's above your head when you're sleeping. It's above.
That's an image, yeah.
And I say it's weighing on you.
Yeah.
Like, and you know it, because you keep saying it to me. Same thing with the basement.
Yeah.
It's like you're sandwiched.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people, we store things in drawers, behind doors, where we're not going to see it. We don't have to do it too often. We're not going in that room. We don't have to go up in the attic, but we know it's there.
Yeah.
100% weighs on you.
Why
that
do we do that? What's behind that?
Well, I think that, first of all, it's very easy to fill a space.
Yeah.
I wrote a blog article recently about redefining full, because I think that people, you got an open shelf, put something on it.
Yeah.
A closet, an attic. My attic's empty.
Yeah.
Because I don't have anything to put up there. Because for me, my big thing is things should have a purpose.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that every single thing in my house, please, everyone, has an absolute, obviously, but for the very most part, I know why I'm keeping something. I know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And before I even let it into the house.
Yeah.
So when we have an attic and we go, well, we'll just store this in the attic. Certain things make sense. Camping equipment that you use.
Or seasonal
seasonal things that you use.
Yeah.
But when you start saying, I'm not sure, maybe just in case.
Yeah.
That right there, that phrase.
Have you done a blog on that? That's a great.
Dead End, yes, I have.
Yeah.
It's
Dead End is called.
It's called.
I love this.
It's called. Oh my gosh!
Like
it'll come to me.
the flag should go right up when you hear yourself
100%. The
saying
second you say that.
So, just in case.
Just in case is the biggest one.
And what was the other one?
Well, anything that relates to that, you never know, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not. I'm just going to put it here for 1 minute. I'm going to put it here for what? And then you're going to remember to go back up to the attic and say, hey, I wonder if I'm going to. You're not. Out of sight, out of mind. That's what applies.
Yeah,
so I try and encourage people. You want to make that. If you want to put something in the attic or basement, know what it is.
Yeah.
Store it in a way that makes sense, that you can see, so you can get to it again. And then I try and instill the whole. If it has a purpose, if you really like it, you need it, and you're going to use it, you should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't tuck things away because because someone gave. I can appreciate that. I'm not empathetic to that. I don't want to sound like I'm this hard person, but but I think that this is what happens. Then we get stuffed and we get cluttered and we get full.
Yeah.
And then making those decisions is harder and harder to do. So and I think that like I said, there are certain sentimental things that people keep and they have the intentions of, but the second you put it up and away, I think because you have that space, it's easy to say, I'm going to put it there. As the organizer, I'm saying, yeah, but it's going to be hard for you to remember. You're going to keep adding to it. We think I've got one thing up there, and we go up there, oh my God.
Where'd this come from?
We have all this stuff up here because you can accumulate it. We grow to our environment. We grow to our environment. I wrote a blog on that about don't be a goldfish in a big pond or something to that effect, because you will grow. You have all this space, you'll take in more. I love empty cabinets. There aren't many that I have, but I mean, I'm just saying, like an empty shelf, people don't know what to do with that. I got to put something there. No, you actually don't. You just can leave it.
I stayed at an Airbnb, and the person had some artistic flair. It was like things were put there with a lot of thought, and there were a lot of empty countertops and dressers or whatever, but with one or two things on it. And they weren't even like expensive things, but they were meant to send some kind of a feeling or a message. And had that been cluttered, I don't think I would have appreciated it. So much so that there was one section that had a turntable, an old turntable and stereo system, and all these records from my vintage. And my son was like, wow, this is awesome. I've never used a turntable. And we're playing all these, James Taylor and all these old things. My albums, which I still have, are in the basement with mold on them.
Pull them up and search for a turntable and find a space in your house for it. Otherwise, you're not using those.
Otherwise, donate them to the person who will.
Give someone else the.
So these had the same objects, but in one case, these had life and
That's
games.
Correct.
And but they were out where they're being used.
And speaking of what you're saying about clutter, if you walked into a place like that, you'd be like, what? And that I was teaching a class recently, and I showed a picture of a bedroom. Perfectly, everything in its place, which is the way it's supposed to be. The bed's made, and they're like, oh, whose room ever looks like that? And I said, but what feeling is evoked from you seeing that? You feel good. You can have that. You might not have this massive room and this walk-in closet. It doesn't matter. Notice that all the like items are together, which is a main tenet of being organized. All the like items are together. So if you walked in, you know where to look for the dress or the blue shirts, right, or the sweaters, and they're contained. Things aren't just all over the place.
I walked into that place and
I was
beautiful.
Home.
Well, I knew where everything was. I was like, oh, there's,
That's right. Well, the things that matter rise to the surface. You can see those things more easily. You can use certain things, like I was telling you about the kitchen, a cluttered counter. When it's clear, it's like, oh, there's the mixer, right? I'm going to make this. Or do you know what I'm saying? You see your ability to use the space in a way that benefits, especially your wellness when it comes to the kitchen, eating, or the bedroom, sleeping. An area where you meditate. If it's all crazy. It's hard enough to quiet your mind. Don't let all this other stuff, right? So.
We're getting down on time. I just wanted to touch a little bit on, because I know that on your website you've identified as a health coach. So beyond the organizing, do people come to you with weight loss or nutrition or other issues like that as well?
Definitely. All of the above, really. People, like I said, they usually come to me because something doesn't feel right. They have some sort of goal in their life to be healthy. And I kind of uncover, what does that mean for you?
So you can start in different ways. You don't necessarily start with organizing. You might start with them in another phase.
And often some of my clients, we might talk about different things with organization. How is your space? Blah,
but
blah,
that's not their biggest.
But it's not their biggest thing, or it's not what they're looking for the help with, and that's totally fine. People come because they want to revamp their diet, or they want to find ways to incorporate more healthy eating, or even just adding in. I have a client adding in meditation, adding in journaling, adding in the slow down, adding in the how do I create my day, right? To feel better about myself.
Do you do anything with relationships? Like if somebody's having trouble in a relationship, whether it's child or parent or spouse?
No, I haven't had people that specifically need that. And if someone did, there's only so much, because really as a coach, I'm there to motivate and support, not really give you advice. I'm not a relationship coach.
Okay.
So I would I would probably find somebody who's specific for that. You know, I'd probably call you and say, do you know someone who's a relationship coach?
Yeah, we'd call Damari.
Yeah. Damari, that's right, exactly. There you go, exactly.
Yeah.
I always like to find, I think that a lot of us are doing this fantastic work, and we come at it from different angles.
Yeah.
And it all matters, because there are all these different pieces, and so whoever can help fill the gap or help me put the piece together, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure people can reach you.
Yep.
So again, will you remind me of your website and your social media contacts?
Yes. So it's my name, Francesca Verri,
Yeah.
VERRI.com. And social media, Facebook and Twitter are at Very Well. I also have an Instagram page, but I think it's my full name, Francesca Anna Verri. But really, if you go to my website, you'll see all those connections.
Yeah, yep.
Yes.
Do you like to use one more than the other?
You know, I'm finding that Facebook, it just is easier for me to schedule, be organized.
Yeah.
I can schedule my posts. I can kind of plan better.
Got it.
Some of the others aren't as.
Yeah, I like. We all have our favorites, and
Yeah.
so I like to ask people that just so they'll know how to best get in touch.
Facebook, yes.
And I ask all my guests who come on the show to because the name of the show is The Totally Well Show. What are the top 3 things it takes for you to be totally well, you personally?
For sure, what's good for me, I like to impart to my clients as well, because I think it's important, and it might not work for them, but I think that listening to your body, I listen to what it's saying. So that's one, and I feed it well. I feel very strongly about what you put in, whether it's in your mind or in your mouth, is. You know, it's important. It's not to say you can't put something in that's wrong. It's to recognize that it didn't give you the best opportunity to feel good. So those are my 2 top things, other than drinking a lot of water. We walk around dehydrated all the time. And it sounds simple, but I think those things change how you can move through the day. And really one of them, maybe I'm on 4, I don't know, I've lost count. I make my bed every day. And people make a little joke about it. I've written about it before and be, oh yeah, that's right. No, the way you start your day really can dictate how the day is going to go. And I think that a made bed, my mother always said this, you get out of your bed, you make your bed. Oh, okay, that's what I'll do. And I just didn't think not to. And I got married and I said, oh, when we get out of it, we have to make sure we make the bed. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, great, perfect. I married the right guy. Because, you know, first of all, it's a great little check mark.
Yeah.
Excellent. You've accomplished something.
Yeah. Succeeded already.
Succeeded already, and it's neat.
Yeah.
It's tidy. You've left something tidy, so you're starting the day off tidy, so to speak. Yeah. But I also think you come back to your bedroom. If the bed's unmade, that's a form of clutter.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to take off your clothes, throw them on the bed, throw them on the floor.
Ooh, a trigger. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, and it kind of, and then that feeling, that heaviness. I think getting into a made bed feels better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So make your bed.
I've gotten in the habit of doing the dishes in the morning if there is any leftover from, just clean.
Yeah. Think about it. Clean surfaces, and it's not about perfection, but clean matters.
I like to leave the house in the morning with it taken care of.
Because you're coming back to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to leave my desk at night that way, because I'm going to come, it beckons me to want to do work. When it's more, if I leave it disheveled, it's the same thing with the bed.
I also heard emptying a trash can, and a full trash can will make you,
That sounds, that's along the same lines. That's great, actually, yeah.
Well, we're out of time.
Oh,
I wish we had hours more to talk, because it's so fun to hear.
Fun. We'll do it again.
Yes, I'd love to, yeah.
Okay.
So thanks so much for being a guest
Thank you.
today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.